Hi everyone, welcome again to another lecture in the series of lectures for civil procedure. Our topic for today is again one of the provisional remedies, declaratory relief. Okay, so what is a declaratory relief? Um, a declaratory relief is a petition wherein any person interested under a deed, will, contract, written instrument, statute, executive order or ordinance, or any other governmental regulation may be for breach or violation, bring an action in the RTC to determine any question of construction or validity arising and for the declaration of his rights and duties. Remember, class, that in declaratory relief, there is a question of construction regarding the construction, interpretation, or the validity of any contract, will, written instrument, or statute. Okay? Provided, however, that the said statute was not yet breached. Thus, there is no breach of the deed, will, contract, statute, or ordinance. Okay. There are also remedies which are similar to a declaratory relief, such as an action for reformation of instrument, quieting of title to real property, or to remove clouds from the title, or to consolidate ownership. So an action for quieting of title, aside from being classified as an ordinary civil action, may also be classified as one for declaratory relief, provided that there is yet no breach. Okay. Now, who are the persons who may be considered as parties to the action? Okay, the persons who are considered as parties to the action are all persons who have or claim any interest which would be affected by this declaration shall be made parties. If the validity of a statute, executive order or regulation, or any other government regulation is in issue, the Solicitor General to represent the state shall be notified. Okay? In any action involving the validity of a local ordinance, the corresponding prosecutor or the lawyer of the local government unit shall be similarly notified. Remember that in an action, in a special civil action for declaratory relief, the action of the court is discretionary. So it is not um, it is not always the case that when an action for declaratory relief is filed in court, the court will give due course to the action. Okay. The court may motu proprio or upon motion may refuse to exercise the power to declare rights and to construe instruments in any case where a decision would not terminate the uncertainty or controversy which gave rise to the action, or in any case where the declaration or construction is not necessary and proper under the circumstances. Now, a declaratory relief can also be converted into an ordinary action if during the pendency of the petition there arises a breach. If before the final termination of the case, a breach or violation of an instrument or a statute, executive order, regulation, ordinance, or any other governmental regulation should take place, the declaratory relief may be converted into an ordinary civil action. What is the purpose of an action for declaratory relief? It is to determine any question of the validity arising from a deed, will, contract, or any other written instrument, executive order, or resolution, and for the declaration of rights and duties. The only question that may be raised in the petition is the construction or the validity of the provisions in the instrument or statute. It must also be shown that there are no adequate relief or remedy available. You must remember that persons who are affected shall be made parties because the persons who are not made parties shall not be prejudiced by the declaration. And it is also very important that the action must be instituted before breach. Okay? Otherwise, the same will not qualify as an action for declaratory relief. We now go to the case of Almeda versus Bathala Marketing. Bathala Marketing as lessee renewed its contract, okay, with Almeda as lessor. Now, the respondent refused to pay the VAT and adjusted rentals as demanded by the petitioners, but continued to pay the stipulated amount of rent in the contract. Now, the respondent filed an action for declaratory relief for the purpose of determining the correct interpretation of the provision in the lease contract. The petitioners, in turn, filed an action for ejectment against the respondent. The petitioners later moved for the dismissal of the declaratory relief case for being an improper remedy, considering that there was already a breach of the obligation. However, the said motion was denied. Now, the issue is whether or not an action for declaratory relief is proper. Again, the Supreme Court defined declaratory relief as an action by any person interested in a deed, will, contract, or other instrument, executive order, or resolution to determine any question of construction or validity arising from the instrument, etc. The only issue that can be raised in the petition is the question of construction or validity. Decisional law enumerates the requisites of an action for declaratory relief. So, the following is required before the court can give due course to a petition for declaratory relief. First, the subject matter of the controversy must be a deed, will, contract, written instrument, statute, executive order, regulation, or ordinance. Second, the terms of said documents and the validity thereof are doubtful and require judicial construction. Third, there must have been no breach of the documents. Fourth, there must be an actual, justiciable controversy or the ripening seeds of one between persons whose interests are adverse. And fifth, the issue must be ripe for judicial determination. And last, adequate relief is not available through other means or other forms of action or proceeding. There is no showing in this case that respondent committed an act constituting breach of the subject contract of lease. Thus, respondent is not barred from instituting before the court the petition for declaratory relief. We now go to the case of Kawasaki versus Amores. Okay, in this case, the Supreme Court emphasized that in cases for declaratory relief, if it will require the introduction of evidence or the establishment of certain facts, that action will not qualify as an action for declaratory relief. So in this case, C.F. Sharp filed a complaint for injunction and declaratory relief in the trial court against 79 Japanese corporations. The private respondent prayed that a judicial declaration be made that as a separate and independent corporation, it is not liable for the obligations and liabilities of C.F. Sharp. Now, the issue is whether or not the private respondent's complaint for injunction and or declaratory relief is within the purview of the provisions on declaratory relief of the rules of court. As defined, status means a legal personal relationship, not temporary in nature, not terminable at the mere will of the parties, with which third persons and the state are concerned. So in this case, what is sought is the declaration, not only that the respondent is a corporation, where there is no dispute on that matter, but also that it is a separate and distinct from Sharp Kabushiki, and therefore not liable for the latter's indebtedness. Where a declaratory judgment as to a disputed fact would be determinative of issues rather than a construction of a definite stated right, status, and other relations commonly expressed in written instrument, the case is not one for declaratory judgment. A declaratory relief proceeding is unavailable where judgment would have to be made only after judicial investigation of disputed issues. Private respondent itself perceives that petitioners may even seek to pierce the veil of corporate entities. So, because in order to establish that it is not only a separate corporation, but also it is a foreign corporation that is separate and distinct from Sharp Kabushiki, that would result in the introduction of evidence. And therefore, declaratory relief is not proper. No action in court has as yet ensued. The fact that CF Sharp is an entity separate and distinct from CF Sharp KK is a matter of defense that can be raised at the proper time. We have the case of Allied Broadcasting versus Republic. This is a petition to declare as unconstitutional Presidential Decree number 5768. Petitioner alleged that the decree has caused it great and irreparable damage because it divested him of its franchise without due process of law and forced it to divest some of its radio stations. Now, according to the petitioner, it must be treated as one seeking declaratory relief. In this case, the Supreme Court said that there is no actual case or controversy involving the law sought to be annulled. Petitioner does not allege that it has filed an application for a license to operate as a radio or television station in excess of the authorized number, and that the same is being denied or refused on the basis of the restrictions under that presidential decree. The constitutional challenge is not being raised in the context of a specific case or controversy where the petitioner has asserted his rights. All that the petitioner seeks is the nullification of the presidential decree and the reinstatement of its rights. Judicial review cannot be exercised in vacuum. The function of the courts is to determine controversies between litigants and not to give advisory opinions. The power of judicial review can only be exercised in connection with a bona fide case which involved the statute sought to be reviewed. So in this case, there is an absence of actual case or controversy or the ripening seeds of litigation. So the Supreme Court said that this is not proper for declaratory relief. We now go to the case of Malana versus Tapa. So in this case, the petitioners filed the complaint for reivindication, quieting of title, and damages against the respondents. They averred that they are the owners of a parcel of land and the respondent refused to vacate despite demand. According to the petitioners, respondents' documents were highly dubious, falsified, and incapable of proving the latter's claim of ownership. Nevertheless, they created a cloud upon their title. So they filed a complaint to remove the cloud from the title. The RTC dismissed the action on the ground of lack of jurisdiction because there was no allegation as to the assessed value. Now, the issue is whether the RTC committed grave abuse of discretion in dismissing the petitioner's complaint for lack of jurisdiction. Okay, the relief sought under this remedy includes the interpretation and determination of the validity of the written instrument and the judicial declaration of the parties' rights or duties. So it refers to the second paragraph. An action to quiet title may be considered as a remedy which is similar to declaratory relief. The rules of court does not categorically qualify an action to quiet title filed before the RTC. It uses the word may, that an action for quieting of title may be brought as a petition for declaratory relief. So it may be an ordinary civil action. It may also be an action for declaratory relief. If it is an ordinary civil action, there is a need to allege the assessed value for the court to for the complaint to determine which court has jurisdiction over the case. Now, since the purpose of an action for declaratory relief is to secure an authoritative statement of rights and obligations of the parties, it may be entertained only before the breach. A petition for declaratory relief gives a practical remedy for ending controversies that have not reached the state where another relief is immediately available. So if you're only asking for a declaration of your rights, okay, and to remove the document which constituted a cloud on your title, provided that there is yet no breach, then an action for declaratory relief may be filed. Where the law or the contract has already been contravened prior to the filing of the declaratory relief, the courts can no longer assume jurisdiction. A court has no more jurisdiction over an action for declaratory relief if its subject has already been infringed or transgressed before the filing of the action. The petitioner's complaint for quieting of title was filed after the petitioners already demanded the respondents to vacate the subject property. So the proper remedy for them is the filing of an action publicana or an action reivindicatoria, not a case for declaratory relief, because there was already a breach or violation of the instrument. Sabitsana versus Muertegui. So in this case, Garcia executed an unnotarized deed of sale in favor of Muertegui upon unregistered land. Now, after 10 years, Garcia sold the same lot to Attorney Sabitsana through a notarized deed of sale. And that deed of sale was registered and a title was issued in Sabitsana's name. Now, Muertegui applied for registration and coverage of the lot under the Public Land Act. Sabitsana opposed the application, claiming that he was the true owner of the lot. Now, Muertegui filed a case for quieting of title. Now, the respondent countered that a suit for quieting of title is one whose subject matter is incapable of pecuniary estimation, and thus falls within the jurisdiction of the RTC. An action for quieting of title may be instituted in the RTC regardless of the assessed value. Under Rule 63, an action to quiet title may be brought in the appropriate RTC. The action is one for declaratory relief, which properly falls within the jurisdiction of the RTC because there was yet no breach. Unlike in the previous case in Malana versus Tapa, there is already a breach. Okay? Next case is BIR versus First E-Bank. First E-Bank filed a petition for declaratory relief regarding the validity of Revenue Memorandum Circular clarifying the taxability of association dues collected by condominium corporations. The revenue, the RMC burden the owners of condominium units with income tax and VAT on their own money, which they exclusively used for the maintenance and preservation of the building and its premises. They argue that it was oppressive and confiscatory. Now, the issue is a petition for declaratory relief proper for the purpose of invalidating the revenue memorandum circular. Again, the Supreme Court reiterated the requirements for declaratory relief. Here, the RMC has far-reaching ramifications among condominium corporations which have proliferated throughout the country. Hence, to forestall any further delay, instead of remanding the case, the Supreme Court decided to give due course to the petition. CIR versus Standard Insurance. So in this case, respondent filed a petition for declaratory relief after receiving tax assessments, okay, from the CIR, where it raised the alleged unconstitutionality of the the NIRC, National Internal Revenue Code, as a ground to contest the tax assessment. However, instead of appealing the assessment, respondent filed with the RTC a petition for declaratory relief with prayer for the issuance of a TRO to enjoin the implementation of the said provisions of the NIRC. Now, the issue is whether the RTC had the jurisdiction to take cognizance of the petition for declaratory relief and issue injunctive relief against the implementation of provisions of the NIRC. Commonwealth Act number 55 provides that petitions for declaratory relief do not apply to cases where a taxpayer questions his liability for the payment of any tax under any law administered by the BIR. No court shall have the authority to grant an injunction to restrain the collection of any national internal revenue tax, fee, or charge. The respondent had already received the assessments from the BIR for deficiency documentary stamp taxes. In view thereof, the RTC should have already dismissed the respondent's petition for declaratory relief for lack of jurisdiction. Okay? It should have filed its petition for declaratory relief, assailing the constitutionality of the said provisions. Okay? We now go to the case of Republic versus Price Corporation. So in this case, Price filed a special civil action for declaratory relief, asking the trial court to rule on the issue of whether Section 4A of Republic Act 7432 includes interment service as among those granted a 20% discount on funeral and burial services for the death of senior citizens. Again, the court reiterated the purpose of an action for declaratory relief. It is for the court to interpret or determine the validity of the written instrument, statute, executive order, or any other governmental regulation, and to secure from the court an authoritative statement of the parties' rights and obligations for their guidance in its enforcement, but not to settle issues arising from a breach. The issue is thus limited to the question of construction or validity of the provisions of a written instrument or statute. Where the statute, deed, or contract has already been breached, the remedy is to file the appropriate ordinary civil action. A petition for declaratory relief is not exempt from the actual case or controversy requirement. There must be sufficient facts to enable the court to intelligently adjudicate the issues, such that the questions raised may be resolved without relying on speculations or hypothetical scenario. A justiciable controversy refers to an existing case that is appropriate or ripe for judicial determination. That's what you call the ripening seeds, okay, of litigation. The court finds that all the elements of a declaratory relief are present in this case. The terms of the statute, especially in relation to the pertinent IRR, have created doubts on the proper application of the 20% discount on funeral and burial services. Respondent, a corporation engaged in selling memorial lots and providing interment services, is directly affected by the statute and the IRR. There is a justiciable controversy on whether respondent may be compelled to grant a 20% discount on their interment service. The case is ripe for judicial determination, considering that respondent, a corporation selling memorial lots, would inevitably be asked to grant the 20% discount for senior citizens, to which it insists it is not required to grant under the provisions of the law and the IRR. Okay, we now go to the case of NECO versus Palma. So in this case, the NEA dissolved NECO 3, okay, and sold its assets by way of dasyon and pago to NECO 2. Okay, NECO 2 was granted franchise to operate in the defunct in the area of the defunct NECO 3. Now, the NEA sold the assets of NECO 3 to NECO 2 through a deed of conditional sale. However, the NLRC issued a notice of levy and notice of sale of execution against the capital assets of NECO 3 to answer for the award or monetary award which was granted in favor of the former employees who filed illegal dismissal cases against NECO 3. Now, NECO 2 sought the following declarations in the form of a declaratory relief in the RTC. The capital assets sought to be levied are insulated from attachment, and the money paid by NECO 2 for the purchase of the capital assets sought to be levied had attained the status of public funds. We find that the arguments are misplaced. Petitioner NECO 2 seeks to determine NECO 3's creditors by determining the proper construction of the deed of conditional sale. Nevertheless, it neither attached a copy of the deed nor specified the doubtful or ambiguous provisions requiring judicial construction. Thus, the court has no basis to make a proper construction of the deed. In other words, NECO 2 was saying that the assets of NECO 3 to which they succeeded as owners are should not be attached or levied upon under the judgment of the NLRC. The petition was in effect a motion to quash the writ of execution of the labor arbiter's decision and an action to annul the decision itself, both of which were rendered in an illegal dismissal case. It is thus a case properly within the jurisdiction of the labor arbiter and not the trial court, since the subject matter of the petition is an incident of the labor case. Okay. Again, it is proper to reiterate that petitions for declaratory relief is discretionary in nature, meaning it is discretionary upon the court to give due course to the petition or refuse to exercise its power and dismiss the case outright in the following cases. The action will not terminate the uncertainty. The action will not resolve or clarify the uncertainty. The exercise of the court's discretion will not apply if the action involves reformation, of instrument to quiet title or to consolidate ownership. In the following cases also, the following cases are not proper for a declaratory relief petition. Declaration of filiation and hereditary rights not based on a deed or a will. Declaration of citizenship to correct previous unilateral registration, to resolve political issues, or if the right contract or statute was already violated. So that's all for declaratory relief. Thank you for listening.